Hello, my name is Kindson Munonye, and thank you for joining me as we continue our discussion on the project cost management knowledge area. Today we are going to be looking at determine budget. Previously on this knowledge area we discussed estimate activity resources, whereby the estimate costs. That is the previous process whereby the cost of individual activity or the monetary values of individual activity is estimated. And now in determine budget we are going to put everything together to determine an overall baseline, a basis for which the project performance will be monitored. So let's take a definition. Determine budget is a process of aggregating the estimated costs of individual activities or work packages to establish an authorized cost baseline. The key benefit of this process is that it determines the cost baseline against which project performance can be monitored and controlled. A project budget includes all the funds authorized for the project execution, and the cost baseline is the approved version of the time-phase project budget but excludes management reserve. So take note, the cost baseline does not include management reserve, but management reserve is included in the overall expenses that have been committed to the project. Let's take a look at the ITTOs of determine budget. As usual, we mention the input and then we try to find out which process produces this input. The cost management plan is the output of plan cost management. Scope baseline is the output of create WBS. Activity cost estimate is the output of estimate costs. Basis of estimate is the output of estimate costs. Project schedule is the output of develop schedule on the time management knowledge area. Resource calendar is the output of estimate activity resources on the time management knowledge area as well. Risk register is the output of identify risks. Is also an output. Is also under the risk management knowledge area. Agreements is it output of develop project charter or input to develop project charter? Can you remember? Outputs of what? Let's see. Agreement should be output of develop project charter and not inputs. Let's see. Develop project charter has agreements as inputs. Okay, so just agreements is not coming out from anywhere. Tools and techniques: cost aggregation, expert judgment, reserve analysis, historical relationship, funding limit reconciliation. And the output of determine budget is a cost baseline, project funding requirement, and project document updates. Let's take a look at these items. We need cost management plan to determine budget because the cost management plan describes how the project costs will be managed and controlled. Determine budget tools and techniques. We have scope baseline. What? No, what are we saying? No, I think. Okay, so there is a little mix up. Okay, let's get back. So this is never tool and technique. We are still discussing the inputs to determine budget. So let me clean this. We are still discussing the input, and we say we need the scope baseline as input. The scope baseline provides information on the project scope statements, the WBS and the WBS dictionary. Activity cost estimate is also an input to this develop budget process because it gives us estimate for each activity within a cost package. Okay, and this activity estimate is what is aggregated for each work package. Basis of estimate supporting details for the cost estimate is also needed from the estimate cost process. The project schedule includes planned start and finish date for the project activities, milestones, work packages, and control accounts. These information used to aggregate costs to the calendar period in which the costs are planned to be incurred. Another input is resource calendars, which provides information on which resources are assigned to the project and when they are assigned. This information can be used to indicate resource cost over the duration of the project. A risk register should be reviewed to consider how to aggregate the risk response costs. Updates to the risk register are included with the project document updates. Let's move on. Agreements necessary. Applicable agreement information and costs relating to products, services, or results that have been or will be purchased are included when determining the budget. And of course, we have organizational process assets as input, which includes cost budgeting tools, reporting methods, existing formal and informal cost budgeting related policies, and so on. Let's now spend some time looking at the tools and techniques of the developed budget process. We now want to look at the tools and techniques of determine budget, not develop budget, but determine budgets. The first one is cost aggregation, and this cost aggregation is very clear because you aggregate the cost estimate by work packages, and then you roll it up again to control account level, and then roll up to the estimate to the entire project. So cost aggregation, taking the cost estimate, rolling it up to the next level continually until you aggregate the cost for the entire budget. Reserve analysis. Budget reserve analysis can establish both contingency reserve and management reserve for the project. Expert judgment is also necessary to estimate costs because input from consultants, stakeholders, professional subject matter experts can help you to determine an accurate budget. Now, another tool and technique for determining budget is historical relationship that result in parametric estimate or analogous estimates involve the use of project characteristics to develop mathematical models to predict total project costs. What are we talking about here? We are saying that historical relationship has to do with you are trying to get some information that might help you from previous projects. You are trying to create a mathematical model from the available historical data and the present data pertaining to costs. So such model may be simple, like residential home construction is based on certain cost per square foot of space. It may also be complex, using the models in software development, etc. So, still on historical relationship, both the cost and accuracy of analogous and parametric models can vary widely. They are most likely to be reliable when historical information used to develop the model is accurate, parameters used in the model are readily quantifiable, and models are scalable, such that they work for large projects, small projects, and phases of a project. So that's about historical relationship as a tool and technique for determining budget. Can you remember the tools and techniques we've discussed so far? We discussed expert judgment, historical relationship, cost aggregation, and okay, maybe you backtrack, and reserve analysis. Okay, so the fifth one we are going to be looking at is funding limits reconciliation. The expenditure of funds should be reconciled with any funding limit on the commitment of funds to the project. So when you have a funding limit, you must reconcile with this limit as you are determining your overall budget, so that you don't have something above the funding limit that the organization have committed. A variance between the funding limit and planned expenditure will sometimes necessitate rescheduling of work level at the rate of expenditures, and this is accomplished by placing imposed date constraints for work into the project schedule. Alright, having looked at funding limit reconciliation, let's now look at the output of determining budget, and one important output is cost baseline. The cost baseline is the approved version of the time-phase project budget, excluding management reserve, which can only be changed through formal change control procedure and is used as a basis for comparison to the actual result. It is developed as a summation of the approved budgets for different scheduled activities. I am presenting this as a clear, so that I clarify the concept of project budget, cost baseline, management, contingency reserve, etc. Now see how it goes. The first step is to estimate, to take the activity cost estimate and then add it to the contingency reserve, and that gives you the cost baseline. Okay. Now the cost baseline is an aggregation of the cost estimates up to the level of the control account. So if we add the cost baseline to the management reserve, then we have the total budget that the organization has committed for this project. Another output is project funding requirements, the total funding requirements, and any periodic funding requirement, e.g. quarterly, annually, are derived from cost baseline. So what we are saying here is you have project funding requirements, like you have $2 million. Let's just take for example, is the overall amount the organization has committed, and now $1.5 million is the cost baseline, 500,000 is the management reserve. But does it mean that this whole fund should be given to the project manager just like that? No. So it means that at some interval of time a particular amount will be made available. Let's say every 3 months you take $300,000. Every 3 months, $300,000. So decisions like these are called, is specified in the project funding requirements, where the cost baseline will include project expenditures plus anticipated liabilities. And then we also have periodic funding requirements, which can occur in incremental amounts that are not continuous and may be or may not be evenly distributed. Total funds required are those included in the cost baseline plus management reserve, if any. Funding requirements may include sources of funding. Alright, let's now look at the last output of the determined budget, and that is project document updates. It includes the updates to the risk register, activity cost estimates might be updated, and the project schedule might be updated. So this is where we are wrapping it up on determined budget. Take note that determined budget is an important process, as it takes all the estimates of the activities, aggregate them to get a baseline of which the performance of the project in terms of cost will be monitored. Thank you for joining me in this presentation. I hope you've learned much from me. If there's area you want me to improve, please leave it below in the comment and I'll give attention to it. Thank you once again. And these are the tools and techniques as well as inputs. Take some time to get used to it. And please join me in my next presentation, as I'm going to begin my discussion on control costs.